let's start. So we have Sanchit and Vikas with us today. So let's start with Vikas. Vikas, who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Vikas and I lead WeServe.mobile. It's a mobile ad network focused absolutely on emerging markets. We've essentially got a proprietary technology in the form of an app wrapper platform, and we essentially focus purely on emerging markets from the point of view of, if you look at emerging market structure right now, most of the devices being used out here are feature phone driven. While the world is going gaga over smartphones, we've got close to about 70% plus penetration or 80% plus penetration in most of these markets of feature phones, and we've got a product which just cuts across platforms, whether it's feature phones or smartphones. That's what we do. We enable advertising across platforms.
Great. Sanchit.
Yep, so hi, my name is Sanchit and I work for Mindshare, which is a Group MWP company. I run a division which is focusing on digital performance. So I straddle all forms of mobile, social, search and display to deliver solutions to Fortune 500 companies which we work for. And so in essence, my business is primarily driven by data tracked through search, social and other forms of media, and using data to make informed decisions for marketers.
Great. So let's start from that. Why not? So we just had a nice surprise today that one of our big client is shifted a huge budget from print to digital. But there was always who are in the long time in digital knows that previously in 2000 plus it was like digital is an afterthought. Now things are changing, and this is another huge thing we got today. So what is your experience in last 2 to 3 years? What kind of budget shift you are thinking from the traditional to digital?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of shifting of budgets, it's still not very significant.
Okay.
Digital currently in Singapore and most parts of the region, Singapore is way ahead of the region, is touching somewhere in the range of 10 to 15% of overall marketing spend, which is certainly not justified. If you look at the time spent on digital platforms versus traditional platforms, it's not commensurate. So there is a massive gap in which it should reach somewhere in the vicinity of 35 to 40% to make it credible and get the interest of marketers in a serious manner. So there is a bit of inertia from the marketer side, because most people you work with who are brand custodians are still living in the old world. And it's just because of the way they've been taught how to use marketing. Unfortunately, the education of new media is not percolated across colleges and institutions. So all their knowledge is based on
That's okay. This is informal. That's fine.
yeah. So all their knowledge is based on latent ways of teaching media and marketing, and unfortunately, that's a barrier and a challenge in itself, which people like me and Vikas are trying to straddle. Overcoming and teaching them the new way of marketing is a big challenge, and probably that's the reason why things haven't moved at the pace it's moved in the US and UK, where the consumer is the same, but the marketing bottleneck is more here than in the Western world.
What do you think, Vikas? What's the main reason for 10 to 15% is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. But having said that, I think fundamentally there is a shift which has happened in the last few years. I think we've come a long way. Meaning, for me, if you were to look at, I've joined WeServe about 5 months back, but I've been in online space for a fairly long time now. I was running an online ad network before this. So I can tell you from an experience back in 2006, 2007, it used to be like really a hard sell when clients were at a stage where you would go to them. Consumer had shifted even then. Meaning, if you were to look at back then, okay, the internet penetration used to vary between 25-30% to thing, but consumers were going online in a very big way. And there was time when there was hardly 1% spending which was going on. If you look at the shift which has happened in the last 12 to 18 months, I would say it's dramatic, both from online standpoint and even mobile standpoint. We've got a whole lot of clients and categories and verticals which are just opening up. So earlier it used to be primarily driven by tech. Today, tech is there. Obviously, tech still invests a fairly large amount of chunk out there, but you've got categories like retail, which is opening up. You've got category which is CPG, which is coming in. I mean, back then I've managed Procter and Gamble for almost 4 years, 5 years, and online used to be a taboo. Yeah, I can tell you, I mean, just to get a brand manager to allocate 1% of the budget to try a campaign worth $5,000, you would have to do at least 50 presentations. Okay, 50 is an exaggeration. 20 presentations, and they'll say, "Oh wow, good. Let's look at it," and then it'll get forwarded to next year.
So, Sanchit, coming from that point, what's the agency's role here? Like you said, that there is a need of education,
Right.
need of telling people. I mean, but at the same token, we are seeing that agencies are also some kind of holding it back. In whatever, these people never change, right? That same people are still there.
Yeah.
So, means Mindshare is doing something.
Right.
That's great. I'll come to the database marketing, but apart from that, what is your viewpoint on the agencies? What is their role is now, and what it should be?
I agree with you. I think big barrier coming in to this space is the way agencies function. And if you look at any of the large players in the segment, they've not woken up to the reality of today. Specifically on the creative side, if you look at creative agencies, they're still living in the 30-second world, and that has completely changed. And unless they work hand in hand with the media agencies, unfortunately the ball will not move at the pace we expect it to. So we as Mindshare and of course other agencies in the media space are making inroads in informing and educating our brands, but it's, as I said earlier, it's not significant enough to move that 10% to a 40%. It's an entire ecosystem which needs to wake up to the reality.
Right.
And the ecosystem does include the marketeer, the media agency and the creative agency. Unfortunately, from our experiences, even our cousins in WPP are not moving or not educating themselves enough to the reality of today's world.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's a barrier right now. Our internal barriers are more significant than the external barriers. But we are trying to make a change. We're trying to work with them. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of workshops with our creative partners. We do a lot of workshops with our brands. We do a lot of internal workshops educating our media planners on what's changed and how they need to adapt to this world.
Right.
But agencies are supposed to be the enablers. That's what they've done to the rest of. If you look at how TV advertising has grown and how print advertising has grown, they've enablers, and I think they have to probably take that same space here as well. Without that, a marketer will never be able to get everything together onto a single platform. If you ask me the role of agency.
That's true, but at the same time, you look at from the media planning point of view, just if I take out the all other things. See, before that, especially in a place like Singapore, where to be an effective media planner, you need to have like 3 to 4 cards in your Rolodex and you're done.
Yeah.
Right. And things suddenly got this complex.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of things to take in. Right, so so there, we can't let's not blame our own brothers and sisters there. So, no, but it's true, it's a big thing. But one thing made me very interested. I didn't know that the data-based marketing you are in charge of. So, and this is something we constantly pushing and based on the data. Now, there is another huge problem in the marketing side, which is perennial for years after years. That it's a gut feel based field. It's an art of marketing, never a science of marketing. So tell me about your experience and what it takes to educate people, what it takes to, what you will say to a person that, okay, marketing is more than the gut feel.
Right.
Yeah, what do you say?
So it is a topic which is of big interest to me, so I'll tell you about my experiences. Every time I've spoken about bringing logic into the marketing mix, usually you see a lot of people interested, purely because that logic never existed in television and print. It was, as you said, it was gut feel, it was partnerships, it was relationships, it was their understanding of the consumer, which was at times hypothetical. It was not true. Now what digital is suddenly doing is, every consumer is expressing intent of some kind, be it on social, be it on search, be it the way they behave in mobile.
Yeah.
They're expressing intent with regards to a brand, with regards to a category, which is intelligence which never existed. So you can predict the behavior of consumers based on what they're saying, what they're looking for, what they're talking about, and how they're using specific media types to look for that information or absorb that information. Now they're leaving these data trickles behind. If you consolidate them well in a certain manner, you have an understanding of the consumer which never existed. You can predict when a certain individual is planning to buy the product. You can predict how he or she is comparing the product. You can look at how they view the category. So you're getting far more deeper insight into your consumer, which never existed in television and print. It was one way. Here, digital is enabling data trickles to make sense out of the consumer and segments and how to market to them, what their needs are, what their wants are. So I think it's a whole new world which is exciting the marketeers in a big way. The trouble is the data is enormous. Every moment, every second, you have trillions of data bytes which are getting aggregated. Now, how do you manage that is a big complex setup. Clearly, there are tech companies foraying into this. If you look at the way Adobe and Microsoft is functioning, they're planning to get into the data consolidation phase. Now, we as agencies don't have expertise in tech, but we have understanding of the marketing ecosystem. So we are trying to leverage and partner with certain people who are collecting that data in a sensible manner and help mine them to make marketing decisions. So it's a whole new world which is emerging where the boundaries between agencies and tech companies are going away, are fading away completely. So let's see how that pans out. But the way currently it's structured, it definitely looks like this is the new version of marketing, where data will power creative, data will power product development, data will power marketing strategies. Having said that, there is a massive role of creative. Let's not undermine that. They say 90
the ideas, the innovation.
Exactly. They say 90% of consumer decisions are magic and not logic. So only 10% of decisions can be taken on logic, which is the data. So let's not undermine the role of creative in the mix, which is 90%.
Right.